I'll tell you what, many people don't actually believe me, but I used to play rugby for the greater part of my high school. I'll tell you which positions I played. I played in the position of hooker at my former high school, Kutama College, there in Murombezi. Now, speaking about rugby, I've got with me in studio right now Kuda Mutenda, the Mwana Group CEO, and of course he joins us on Morning Rush to talk about rugby. Why is that? He is the festival director for the Mwana Rugby Festival. That of course was formerly the Kotko, that was formerly Dairy Board, and now of course has been branded as the Mwana Rugby Festival. And of course ZTN has partnered with him for the Mwana Group Schools Rugby Festival. And of course, we are glad and excited to be having him on the program this morning. Kuda, hello and welcome to Morning Rush.
Thank you, my brother. It's a pleasure being here. Really appreciate it.
Fantastic. Now, of course, the tournament comes back again this year. Tell us more and what we can expect from it.
Well, from my own experience, I think the most memorable days in my high school life, which are also the most memorable days in my life, besides the day I got married and the day that my daughters were born, it was the Kotko Schools Rugby Festival. That's where I met most of my friends. Wow. That's where I had the most interactions. That's where I grew as a person.
Wow.
And this year, expect nothing more than that. It's more than rugby. We are now re-energizing rugby in Zimbabwe. Expect 120 schools coming to participate.
120 schools?
Yes. Primary schools, high schools, developmental schools, girl teams, and also international teams as well.
Right. If I may ask, why yes. did the Mwana Group decide to partner with schools rugby in that case?
As you know, this festival is the biggest festival in Africa. No one has got this amount of quantum of numbers in terms of people coming to play, people coming to watch.
The biggest on the continent?
Actually, the biggest in the whole world.
In the world?
Yes, in terms of numbers. Quantity, not quality.
Okay.
Quality, the South Africans beat us. And then also, it's the oldest rugby festival in Zimbabwe since 1986. Began with UBC, David Whitehead, Kotko, Dairy Board, now with us.
So that's the process of the evolution?
Yes. So it's a moral obligation that this continues. And unfortunately, COVID came in 2019, 2020, 2021, there was nothing that happened. And last year, it didn't take off because of lack of a sponsorship. So with our little resources, we took up the challenge saying this thing needs to be revived because this is the bedrock of development of rugby in Zimbabwe. Right. And I know that you spoke about 120 schools yes. that are participating. Yeah. Including Kutama.
Including Kutama, yes. As a Kwam Videri, we always used to say. Now, tell me, how yes. many teams will be participating? I know that you spoke about 120 schools, but I know that some schools filled double teams and so forth and so on.
Sorry, my apologies. 120 teams participating.
Teams participating.
Yes, with approximately 80 schools participating.
80 schools participating.
Yes, right now we're still doing our registration and fixtures, but we have a clear outline by end of this month, which is like next week.
Right, and can you tell us more about the dates and perhaps some of the things that the rugby pundits, as well as, of course, the socialites and, the younger generation can look forward to at this particular tournament?
Perfect. So we kick off on the 28th of April, the Primary Schools Cup, that's on Sunday. 20 teams from across Zimbabwe participating, knockout tournament on Sunday. And then on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we've got the high school teams, which is your girl teams, your development sides, your developed sides, and also the international teams as well. We have confirmations from 4 teams from Zambia, Botswana, and Malawi, and most likely another team coming from South Africa. And this year, what makes this special is that we have benchmarked our festival in the true sense of a festival. In the same way there's a Super Bowl in America, the same way there is the Eben July in South Africa, the same way there's a Wimbledon. We're going more than just rugby. What do you mean by that? By that, I mean that we're trying to attract more people besides the traditional rugby playing schools. We're trying to rugby playing people. We are trying to give people a reason to come to the festival besides rugby. One, we have a car show. Most likely the biggest car show that's happening in Zimbabwe this year. 5 categories: antique cars, supercars, brand new cars, and pimped up cars. So these are called side saucers, according to Mr. Gumunyu, my former sports master.
Okay.
And then we also have live music.
Right.
Most likely we have Jab Praiser. Most likely we have JT Volts. And most likely we have Minister Minded as well on Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday.
Absolutely fascinating.
And not only that, we also have a play center that will be happening from Sunday to Saturday. Swings, jumping castles, bubble baths, and stuff, they'll all be there. Just in case you're bored, there's something else that you can do to allow time to enjoy yourself, to celebrate, to be seen. It's a networking event. That's how people come to love rugby. Just like you see with the Super Bowl, the most watched time was the halftime show, not the actual game itself.
Right.
So we need to find ways to attract people to rugby. And right now, Zimbabwe, our biggest weakness is that our pool of rugby is very small. The pool of schools playing rugby is very small. Pool of people supporting rugby is very small. Pool of corporates supporting rugby is very small. That needs to be expanded for us to grow, for us to have a chance of qualifying for the next World Cup.
Well, quite some mouth-watering initiatives, of course, to grow the cake.
Yes.
You mentioned the girls' rugby, the girls' participation.
Yes.
Back then, when we played rugby, I actually used to play rugby. Many people don't believe me when I say that.
Well, I believe you.
Back in the day, it used to be an old gentleman's affair. Can you speak about the development of the female rugby, as it were?
Yes. Right now, actually, the highest ranked team in Zimbabwe is the Ladies Sables team. And they're doing much better than the boys.
All right.
And also, as a program, as a national program, which is what I want to call our festival, we can't afford to leave the girl child out. They also need to be involved as well and become part of this national building process. By the way, it's 50% of our population.
Right.
So they need to be involved in this process.
Certainly.
And we are inviting them as major stakeholders. They'll be playing on Jubilee. They'll be playing at prime times as well. That's how serious we're taking this.
Wow, absolutely fascinating. And that, of course, is Kuda Mutenda, the Mwana Group CEO. Thank you for joining us on Morning Rush.
Pleasure. Thanks, my brother. Really appreciate it.
ZTN Prime, DSTV channel 294, the place to be.